McDonald's is recalling millions of children's toys given out in Happy Meals, and 2 products found in millions of homes are also being recalled.
The toy is a dart gun that was sold exclusively at Family Dollar stores. The problem? The darts are so small that they can get stuck in the throat and prevent a child from breathing.
Fisher-Price announced the recall today after reports of more than 20 injuries. Now, also there's word of a separate...
While the 80s was largely the era that toys became cool, and the 90s continued from that, the extreme period of the 2000s felt like a beta test in a lot of ways and in a lot of avenues. And the test subjects were the kids. Companies were always thinking about what they could market to them, what they could get them to obsess over, and sometimes finding out exactly what they couldn't sell to them. A few of those couldn'ts ended up being a bunch of recalled and banned toys that I'm sure many of you from that era remember and wonder, why don't I see these anymore? So let's cut to the chase and see some of the toys not lost to time, but to threat.
What can you dot, then spray for fun that stays?
Aqua Dots!
The magical dots you create, spray, and play. Start with a design and pop, pop, pop your Aqua Dots.
Aqua Dots went by many names: Beados, Pixels, Aqua Beads, and Bendies. I'm not gonna say it. You probably remember them from their infomercial that would run again and again back in the 2000s. They were a part of that designer toy fad that was taking over back then, with similar things such as Bedazzled. A typical product would contain a kit and the mini balls, yeah, laugh it up, that kids could make into different designs. Each small ball came in different colors, and once you finished your design, you would simply spray them with water, which caused them to get sticky and stay together once dry. What caused them to be banned? Well, in 2007, a 2-year-old boy and 10-year-old girl would swallow numerous beads and get super sick. It would be confirmed after the investigation and unconscious after effect of these children, along with 2 more, that the Spin Master produced toys were coated in GHB, a well-known sedative drug used in many cases of data assault that's particularly toxic to children and could cause a coma, as seen in these cases. 4.2 million of the toys were recalled. The toys were re-released in 2009, renamed Pixels, and marketed with a new safety-tested guarantee.
To order, you can call 1-800-524-5103. That's 1-800-524-5103. You must be 18 or older to order.
Moon shoes were the kid-powered anti-gravity shoes, and speaking from experience, these actually kinda sucked. Me and my sister would just make up a game of trying to walk without falling in these because the jumping barely worked. Anyways, these shoes originally appeared in the 1950s, but in an effort to find breakout success in the toy industry, Nickelodeon would reintroduce a new version of them to the world with more safety guarantees. This really was a new era of trial and error for toys, huh? Moon shoes were marketed as trampolines for your feet and were basically plastic blocks with bungee springs attached to the spot where your foot would be strapped to. The idea is that you would be able to jump around and bounce as if you were trampolining. You can't make this stuff up, guys. There were multiple instances of kids breaking their ankles wearing the shoes around despite the safety guarantee, and thus Moon shoes were discontinued. Sky dancers were much like moon shoes in the fact that they were originally released before the 2000s, but their popularity landed them in a new era. This very simple toy is most likely one you've seen countless knockoffs of. They featured a pull-string base attached to a doll that usually had foam wings. Once you pulled the string, the doll would go flying away from the base and spin around as it falls back down. As the years would go on, more and more injuries concerning sky dancers would be reported, with more than 100 cases of stitches, temporary blindness, and more caused by the flying toys. Thus, sky dancers would be recalled in 2000, and a new safer design would return to shelves in 2005.
Sky dancers really fly. Each sold separately, new from Play Along Toys.
Magnetix, all new, let's see what you can do.
Magnetix are toys that jumped on the construction hype train that toys like Lego were cashing in on for a very long time. Releasing around 2005, Magnetix were, as their title led on, a magnet-based building toy. Kids were able to use the various shapes to make different constructs, and yeah. They were one of the most popular toys of the year, and even I got in on the craze back then, despite being more of an action figure kid. They were one of those toys that you would get on Christmas, play for a day, and put away for your better toys. For me, they ended up just being used to build buildings for Godzilla to blow up. Anyways, in 2006, Magnetix sets were recalled due to a child losing their life and others needing surgery after swallowing one of the magnets, which blocked the intestines. In 2007, 4 million more Magnetix sets were recalled after more intestinal injuries. However, the Magnetix sets that were labeled for ages 6 and up were not affected. Back in 2007, the CSI series was incredibly popular, featuring multiple versions airing at the same time. Like always, when a piece of media meant for adults booms, for some reason some executive gets the idea to make it into a children's toy. Enter the CSI Fingerprint Examination Kit, a toy from a show about death and deceit made for your 5-year-old. The toy allowed children to act out their own crime scene. They could mix chemicals, dust for fingerprints, and possibly contract cancer. Yes, the CSI kit was found to contain so much asbestos that it could give children cancer in the future. This asbestos, which was one of the most fatal forms of it, was found within the dust for finding fingerprints. CNET reported that one-time exposure with it was linked with lung disease and mesothelioma years or decades later. The toy was recalled 20 months after release due to an asbestos victim organization making these findings public.
Welcome to Really Baking. Yeah! Now you're really cooking with Easy Just stir, pour, and pop it into the Easy Bake Oven.
The Easy Bake Oven is a legendary kids toy originally released in 1963. However, any kid from the 2000s will tell you that it felt like the toy was made for us with how many times we saw commercials for it. The toy originally was released by Kenner, but after Hasbro acquired the company, it would re-release the Easy Bake in the 2000s to wide acclaim. The company wasn't happy with just one kid's oven on the market, so it would go on to release different variations of the toy, including the Queasy Bake Cookinator, or Cookerator, because boys apparently just don't like normal foods. You gotta put some BS on there to appeal to them. In 2006, Hasbro would release a new Easy Bake Oven, featuring a working stove warmer. The company would find that many kids and parents alike couldn't take the heat and thus would get out of the kitchen. This was due to the new design raising safety concerns and causing injuries related to children getting hands and fingers caught in the oven's opening and being burned. 77 children were reported to be burned, and an additional 249 had fingers or hands caught in the oven. 1 million of the ovens were recalled, and Hasbro was sued for $1.2 million, which is $1.8 million when adjusted for today's inflation.
Hey, kids love the Burger King Big Kids meal because it's got more food. And now when you buy one, you can get them something else they'll love. Limited edition 23-karat gold-plated Pokemon trading cards from Pokemon the First Movie.
In 1999, to celebrate and profit for the release of the film Pokemon the First Movie, Burger King would team up with Nintendo and Game Freak to produce Pokemon Happy Meal toys. Or Burger King meal toys, whatever you call Burger King's Happy Meal. The toys would come packaged inside a vacuum-sealed Pokeball themed container. It was found that either half of the ball could be used to create a vacuum, which is especially dangerous when attached to the mouth and nose. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this one. 2 infants of 13 and 18 months were the subject of this case, with one passing away. In 2000, another would be a victim of the kids' meal toy and pass away in the same way. Burger King would recall over 2.5 million Pokeballs due to the suffocation hazard, and most of the containers were either thrown away, returned, or destroyed. The parents of one of the suffocation victims would sue the king and be paid out for a monetary settlement.
Burger King and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission want you to know about the voluntary recall of this Pokemon Pokeball. The ball may pose a suffocation hazard to children under 3. Throw the ball away or return it to Burger King. The safety of your child is of the utmost importance to us.
Is your scooter tough enough for this? Sharper Image Wheelie Razor is the hottest thing on 2 wheels.
Back in the 2000s, no one would shut up about the original Razor scooter. Metal frame, color choice, light up wheels. It had everything that was cool about the era in one package. It was basically the hoverboard of the generation, and just as many kids would be seen falling off of them, if not more. The Razor scooter would eventually send 110,000 kids to emergency rooms in the year 2001 alone. This was due to reports of the handlebar welds on the contraption breaking and bending, resulting in multiple injuries, including broken arms. They were immediately recalled along with various other electric scooters of the era, including ones from Mattel and MGM. Razor had nearly the same issue in 2024, resulting in another recall, so I guess history repeats itself.
Look out, they're back. The Kerbangers are back, and Smitty's has them. They're the original Kerbangers, and they're guaranteed safe for play and unbreakable, so they'll never chip, heal, or shatter.
Clackers, Kerbangers, or whatever you want to call them, are one of the most obviously dangerous toys out there. While they first gained popularity in the 1960s and 70s, they returned for a final time in the 2000s. Namely, the Kerbangers version package featured a guaranteed safety message. Yeah, that was a lie. First of all, we've all seen what Joseph Joestar can do with these, so imagine some dumb kid, right? But that's not the only issue. The original version's balls were shown to be... I'm sorry, I almost laughed at that. The original version's balls were shown to be able to be shattered or cracked, with the handles sometimes even breaking, leading to balls flying all around the place. Like, I've heard of busting balls, but this is ridiculous. Okay, I'll stop with the bad jokes. The toy was re-released in the 90s and 2000s with a new design, and was not as dangerous due to the removal of the strings, but they were still pretty harmful and reportedly led to many injuries, and many teachers realizing they were pretty effective weapons. While they weren't recalled like their forefather, they were banned from many schools across the US.
Finally, the battle for Super Soaker supremacy has begun.
Back when they were the only real kids' gun toys, Nerf wasn't playing games. The Super Soaker line was the one, and the big dog was the CPS 2000 Mark I, which even featured a warning not to spray at anyone's face. This was due to the powerful firepower of the 25X nozzle, which allowed it to shoot at a crazy range. Rumors quickly spread of a kid getting his eye shot out by the water gun, though this is most likely untrue. Despite the rumor being untrue, Hasbro will eventually discontinue the toy, resulting in basically a soft ban in 2002. This is most likely the result of parents not buying them for their kids due to the rumors, a tale as old as time. In 2006, Mattel released the Barbie and Tanner playset, which featured a pooping dog that would eat plastic food and poop a plastic turd. I felt the need to specify. In 2007, the toy was preemptively recalled, not due to the poop, but the pooper scooper accessory, which contained a powerful magnet. The set was pulled because, you guessed it, Mattel feared the magnet coming loose and possibly being swallowed by children. The 2000s were a chaotic playground of imagination and complete disregard for safety standards. It was an era where companies were so desperate to find the next big thing that they often rushed products to market without considering what was in these toys and how stupid kids could be. It's wild looking back and seeing just how dangerous some of these incidents concerning children's playthings were, but I won't lie, something hits different about having been through such a wild time for the toy industry, especially now when all kids have is tablets and slime and blind bags. So, did you play with any of these recalled and banned toys back then, and what did you think of them? Did you ever get into any trouble or hurt yourself with anything like the Razor scooter or moon shoes? I would love to hear in the comments below, and I would love to hear about any other recalled or banned toys that you guys know about that I didn't talk about here. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I got a lot more videos on the way, so feel free to subscribe, and I will see you hopefully next time. The next video is going to be a banger.